Hello, I'm Matt Travis, Managing Director of Enzygo Environmental Consultants. We've got 6 offices across the UK. We're in Belfast, Manchester, Sheffield, Cambridge, Cardiff and Bristol. Today I've got Tony Sheach with us, who's our Director of Transport. Tony's one of our Senior Directors at Enzygo. He heads up the Transport Division, which is one of our newly formed teams. It's our 10th discipline that we've got. So Tony, would you introduce yourself, a little bit about your role in the sector and what you do at Enzygo?
Afternoon, Matt. Nice to see you all and for watching our podcast. My name's Tony Sheach. I run our transport planning group at Enzygo, a team that we formed at the end of 2023. So we're steadily working our way toward a full strength group, and we've been busy now for the best part of 2024. Enormously challenging environment, and with the change of government, a very much more optimistic picture than we saw a number of years ago. As you say, 10 disciplines, we have the ability to cross the disciplines in a way that transport planning professionals normally just don't have.
That's right, and it's one of the key things is, as we've talked with other people who've been sitting here, that we've got the traffic side now, which dovetails really well into planning, which fits with the hydrology and drainage team, which fits with landscape. We can start to integrate all the building blocks of any infrastructure development, be it residential, be it holiday parks, be it solar, wind.
And that's the key thing, is understanding development and understanding how the part that transport planning, people and movement, plugs into the rest of the elements of that development proposal. So often you see quite a pure response, which in real life doesn't work. And that's one of the interesting things about Enzygo, is how all these building blocks very comfortably sit together. And
it gives us, as we call it, as one of our strap lines, which is unleash the power of multidisciplinary. In fact, it's behind me.
It's absolutely true.
To just going on to that, for some of the people who'll be watching or listening to this, just explain a little bit about traffic assessments, travel assessments, etc., and what we do, what those assessments are, and how you and your team do it, what they're for in terms of development, and when people might require them.
So there are a whole number of things in there, and a whole number of names that are used. But the important thing to start with is, what are you trying to prove? What are you doing with the analysis, the assessment that you do? So we will prepare transport assessments, transport statements, environmental assessment chapters, travel plans, construction management plans, a whole variety of single-purpose documents, all related to advancing the scheme, the proposal that we're working on, primarily through the planning process, but not always. So the purpose of what we do is to support these projects rather than an analytical assessment sort of piece. So then that's really important to remember, because often these transport planning pieces are quite academic, not where we are. They're very focused.
That's excellent. And just one of the questions as well, because everybody always wants to know is, what sort of range of costs do you get in these, from sort of like small to large assessments? And I know that's a bit like a piece of string, but stuff can only be a few thousand for small relative developments, and then some of the urban villages that you're working on, you can end up with really complicated models that can stretch in hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Absolutely. And I think there's some key examples, just even from some of the projects we're looking at, this week, where relatively small amounts of time, small fees to get a project across the line, where we've got a difficult access issue, for example. So it's a bit of highways engineering, it's a bit of capacity work, it's a bit of common sense. To, as you know, some of the projects we've been working on, I've been working on particularly, 10 years worth. Of sort of chugging through a process, lots of changes of direction, lots of complex modelling, lots of complex assessment, many hundreds of thousands of pounds. And of course our job is to be effective and to create value while we're there. And part of the cost equation is, what value does it produce?
There's a lot of change at the moment. I mean, where we're sitting here at the moment at the beginning of September 2024, we've got a new draft NPPF out for consultation. What do you think are the current development challenges in traffic?
Interesting to use the word traffic. That's one of the challenges. If I look back to the beginning of my career, quite a long time ago now, I still had a copy of a white paper called Roads for Prosperity, and that was all about providing for traffic. That's not the world we live in now. And one of the challenges is that's not a common message, it's not a common understanding. So we're very often in a place where we're looking at the worst possible case, and the worst possible case is generating lots of traffic at the busiest times of the day. And that's not what happens. And you know that's not what happens when you see it every day of your life when you're out there in the market. So one of the challenges we have is trying to make assessments and sort of judgments on all of the aspects of travel. People moving, goods moving, vehicles moving, and trying to make sure that we're making an appropriate assessment. And that is a huge challenge at the minute. The new NPPF helps us. And it helps us because it starts to crystallise what we've been doing for a number of years, 10 years, which is a more vision and validate-led approach. In the past, we've been sort of predicting using historic data and providing whatever that forecast required. So if we needed 2 lanes worth of traffic, that's what we provided. Now we're looking at actually, is that necessary? Is there another way to do it? Are people going to travel to work in the same volume as they've done in the past? Well, no, they're not. We saw that during the pandemic. We've got a third of people who are now travelling. An awful lot less than they used to. So the NPPF helps us with a benchmark there, because essentially what it says is vision and validate is a valid technique. It's supported at the high policy level, which is absolutely vital. You know, we've had guidance, formal guidance for I think 6 or 7 years now, but it's been tough to make that stick. The NPPF also tells us that we should look at a variety of scenarios. And all of those scenarios have to cause a severe impact before that development proposal isn't going to proceed any further. And that's not a position that we've been in before. We've always been pushed toward looking at the worst case, and we're the ones that put a better case. And all the time we should be looking at what's the most likely case and how good could it be.